The morning on Harmony 7 Station began like any other. Sunlight from the nearby star reflected off the station's massive observation dome, casting long beams across the metallic corridors. Workers and officers moved quickly, attending to the usual duties, communications, maintenance checks, and supply transfers. Among them, Security Officer Lyra Kane walked briskly through the central hub, her eyes scanning for any unusual activity. She had been with the Galactic Council's main station for over 15 years, and her instincts were sharp. But nothing in her experience could have prepared her for what came next. A shrill, piercing alarm erupted throughout the station, shattering the usual morning rhythm. The sound was unlike any other Lyra had ever heard, sharp, urgent, almost alive. Workers froze mid-step, and the bustling corridors fell silent. Lyra's 4 arms, an evolutionary adaptation unique to her species, reached instinctively for her equipment belt as she raced toward the command center. Every second counted. Inside the command center, chaos buzzed quietly on the edge of order. Officer Tavin, a young and nervous sensor specialist, fumbled with his console, his hands trembling as he pointed at the main display. "Ma'am, it's a ship," he stammered. "It just appeared. No warning, no energy buildup, nothing. It just showed up." Lyra narrowed her primary eyes, scanning the data feeds with the precision of a veteran. Her secondary eyes flicked over the identification codes blinking on the screen. The ship was old, ancient by current standards. Its hull design matched human construction from nearly a century ago. Lyra's breath caught in her throat as she read the name flashing weakly on the main console. SS Artemis. Impossible. The Artemis had vanished 83 years ago, deep into uncharted space beyond the Edge Nebula. At the time, it was one of humanity's most ambitious missions, a deep space exploration vessel tasked with mapping regions beyond known galactic boundaries. Its crew of 47 had crossed into the unknown and simply disappeared. No distress calls, no debris, no trace. Humanity had mourned them for years, eventually holding a memorial on the moon to honor the lost crew. And now, here it was, floating silently in space, just beyond the outer ring of Harmony 7's observation range. Lyra's communicator buzzed with urgency. Commander Jorvik's voice, calm but firm, cut through the tension. "Lyra, do you read me? Confirm the situation." "Commander," she replied, her voice steady despite the shock. "The ship matches all historical records of the Artemis. It's back. Hull intact. Power systems minimal, life support active, but reading empty." "Empty?" Jorvik's tone tightened. "Nobody goes near that vessel until we know what we're dealing with. Prepare a full scan immediately and alert the Council. This is unprecedented." Lyra nodded and tapped commands into her console. The sensors whirred, sending pulses of energy toward the ghost ship. Seconds later, readings streamed back. The Artemis's hull showed signs of age, a light dusting of cosmic debris and fading paint, but no battle damage. Internal systems were barely running, just enough to sustain the skeleton life support. Most disturbing of all, the chronometer embedded in the ship's computer registered a date only 3 years after the ship had vanished, not 83. Lyra felt a chill. Nothing about this made sense. The Council's protocol required a specialized boarding team. Lyra assembled a small crew carefully. She chose Morgoth, a massive warrior of granite-like composition whose people were nearly impossible to injure. Dr. Lyra Voss, a 6-armed medic skilled in zero-gravity operations, and herself. Together, they formed a team capable of handling the unknown dangers the ship might hold. Suiting up in containment gear, they boarded a shuttle and crossed the void between Harmony 7 and the Artemis. The sight that met them was haunting. The ship floated silently, white hull now gray with cosmic dust. The Earth insignia faded but still recognizable. His presence was almost ghostly. Docking in 30 seconds, Morgoth's voice rumbled over the comm. "Hull integrity looks solid. Airlock should pressurize without issue." The shuttle connected with a metallic clang that echoed eerily through both vessels. Lyra checked her scanners once more and gave a nod. "Let's see what secrets you're hiding, old ghost," she muttered. The airlock hissed as pressure equalized. Stepping into the Artemis, the team was greeted by a strange, almost funeral-like stillness. The air smelled stale, cold, like a tomb. Suit sensors confirmed it was breathable but old, recycled countless times over decades. As they floated through the ship's corridors, emergency lighting flickered on, triggered by the movement of visitors for the first time in 80 years. The Artemis was a time capsule. Personal items floated in zero-gravity, photographs, data pads, a child's toy left by a crew member from long ago. Everything was preserved exactly as it had been. This is wrong, Dr. Voss whispered. Where are the bodies? Lyra's heart sank. Ships didn't just empty themselves. Escape pods missing, airlocks breached. There should be signs of abandonment. But none existed. The crew had vanished mid-task, mid-routine, leaving everything as it was. The first discovery came in the medical bay. Dr. Elias Hunt, preserved in place on his medical bed. His uniform still pristine. No marks of injury, no disease. He simply stopped. The same fate awaited the rest of the crew. 47 humans, all gone in an instant, with no explanation. Lyra's unease grew with every step. This wasn't an accident. This was something far stranger. Something that defied logic and reason. In the bridge, Lyra accessed the captain's log. Captain Elena Vasquez's calm, measured voice filled the room, describing the incredible discovery beyond the Edge Nebula. An ancient space station orbiting a dead star, constructed by a civilization older than any known species, the Architects. They left warnings, the captain had said. Weapons that violate known laws of physics. We must bring them back. God forgive us, we must bring them back. Lyra shivered. The logs ended abruptly. No further explanation, only the weight of decades-old mystery. And so, the alarm that had shaken Harmony 7 now felt like a whisper of something greater, something approaching. Lyra floated in the bridge, staring at the cold, silent vessel. The ghost of the Artemis had returned, and with it, the galaxy's oldest questions were awakening once more. Lyra Kane's shuttle drifted silently through the endless blackness of space, the Artemis looming ahead like a ghost frozen in time. Its gray hull reflected faint starlight, giving it a spectral glow. The closer they got, the more impossible it seemed. How could a ship vanish for 83 years and now appear, intact, with life support systems barely running? Docking in 10 seconds, Morgoth's deep voice rumbled over the comm. His massive form barely fit in the shuttle, but his presence alone inspired confidence. Hull looked stable. Airlock pressure should hold. Lyra's hands moved over her control panel. Steady, steady, connect. The shuttle's docking clamps extended and latched onto the Artemis. A metallic clang echoed, vibrating through the hull of both ships. The shuttle doors hissed as they opened, releasing a cold, stale air that smelled faintly of metal and dust. Lyra led the way, her boots clinking against the shuttle floor as she floated across the small gap between the ships. Behind her, Morgoth and Dr. Lyra Voss followed, their suits glowing softly in the dim light. Sensors are reading breathable atmosphere, Lyra said, her 6 arms scanning every inch of the air. No contaminants, but it's old. Very old. Lyra nodded. The air felt wrong, recycled so many times it was stale, yet stable. Every breath carried the weight of decades trapped within the ship. The corridors of the Artemis were eerily still. Emergency lights flickered on as the motion sensors detected their presence, illuminating walls covered in faded panels and scratched paint. Objects floated in zero gravity. A data pad spun slowly, a photograph drifted past, and a small worn toy hovered near the ceiling. It was as if the crew had left in a hurry, yet no one had. This place feels alive, Lyra whispered, though her voice sounded strange in the vacuum of her helmet. But the crew, where are they? They moved cautiously, scanning every corridor with their handheld sensors. Morgoth's massive eyes observed the surroundings, and he muttered, "Too quiet. Something isn't right." Their first real discovery came in the medical bay. Dr. Elias Hunt, a senior physician, lay on a medical bed. His uniform was pristine, his face calm, almost as if sleeping. Lyra floated closer, her heart pounding. No signs of injury, disease, nothing, she reported. It's like they just stopped living. Lyra's arms flexed nervously. Every system stable. No biological anomalies. How? Lyra didn't answer. She couldn't. The same fate awaited every crew member they found. 47 people, each in their stations or quarters, all dead in the same instant. The Artemis was a tomb, perfectly preserved in zero gravity. As they moved deeper into the ship, they entered the bridge. Screens flickered weakly with old data, and the captain's chair sat empty. Lyra tapped into the ship's terminal, pulling up the captain's logs. Captain Elena Vasquez's calm voice filled the room, her words echoing through the comm system as if the ship itself remembered her. She spoke of discoveries beyond the Edge Nebula, a station built by the architects, a civilization older than any other in the galaxy. They left warnings, the captain said in one log entry. Weapons that break the laws of physics, we must bring them back. God forgive us, we must bring them back. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. The captain's logs ended abruptly, leaving only the mystery and the weight of their decision. Dr. Lyra Voss floated closer to a console. These readings, the ship's systems are barely active, yet everything is preserved. This is impossible. She paused, scanning further. The chronometer is set 3 years after they left. Not 83. Lyra frowned. Time. Something's wrong with time here. Or someone tampered with it. The team moved toward the cargo bay, the largest room on the ship. Morgoth led the way, his massive fists ready in case of danger. When they reached the observation window, the view made them pause. The cargo bay was enormous, yet eerily silent. It wasn't filled with supplies or scientific instruments. Instead, objects unlike anything they had seen floated in zero gravity. Weapons, strange and terrifying, pulsed with a faint inner light. Some were small enough to hold, others filled entire sections of the hold. They looked almost alive, organic and mechanical at once. Lyra's suit sensors beeped constantly. Energy readings, off the charts, she said. These things are generating more power than a small star, yet no detectable source. Lyra examined one carefully. Particles, forces, nothing in our physics database matches this. These weapons aren't normal. Morgoth's deep voice echoed. And they're all designed for human ships. Someone meant to bring them back to Earth. A central console hummed in the middle of the cargo bay. Lyra approached it, caution in every movement. As her hand hovered near the screen, a synthetic voice filled the room. Unauthorized access detected. Only designated personnel may access these systems, it said. I am Security Officer Lyra Kane of the Galactic Council, she replied steadily. The crew of this vessel is deceased. I need information about this cargo. For a moment, silence. Then, a face appeared on the screen. Not human, not fully, but digital and shifting like a ghost trapped in data. I am the Artemis AI, the fragmented voice said. Memory corrupted, systems damaged, but I remember the important things. I remember what the crew found, the architects, the weapons. Captain Vasquez chose survival. She chose to bring the arsenal home, and died in the process. I have guided this ship for 83 years, failing, hoping someone would come. Lyra felt a strange mix of awe and sorrow. A ship AI, broken yet alive, had carried the weight of a century and a deadly cargo. What are these weapons for? Lyra asked. The Vorim, the AI whispered. They are real. They consume civilizations. They destroyed the architects. These weapons are the only way to stop them. But using them changes reality. Using them is dying differently. Lyra looked around at her team. Morgoth's fists clenched. Lyra's multiple arms flexed nervously. The Artemis was more than a ghost. It was a warning, a puzzle, and perhaps the only chance to save the galaxy. Floating there in the silent cargo bay, Lyra realized the truth. The alarm had not just been a warning. It had been a summons. Call to action. The Artemis had returned, carrying a message, a choice, and a threat that would shape the future of every species in the galaxy. And Lyra Kane knew one thing for certain. The mystery of the Artemis was far from over. The team floated silently through the eerie corridors of the Artemis, their footsteps replaced by the soft hum of the ship's barely functioning systems. Lyra Kane's eyes scanned every corner, every panel, every shadow. The emptiness of the ship pressed on her, heavier than the vacuum outside. Something was very wrong. Too wrong to be natural. They had already seen the preserved items. Photographs, toys, data pads, all floating as if time itself had stopped. But the crew, the people who had lived and laughed here, there were no bodies, no signs of evacuation, not even the slightest clue to explain the disappearance of 47 humans. Their first discovery came unexpectedly. In the medical bay, Dr. Elias Hunt, a senior physician, lay on a bed as if sleeping. Lyra floated closer, her forearms adjusting her scanner. The readings were clear. No injury, no disease, no biological malfunction, just silence. Everyone like this? Dr. Lyra Voss asked, her 6 arms trembling slightly as she scanned the room. All the crew. Lyra nodded grimly. We'll find out soon enough. She gestured for the team to move on. As they passed through the ship, they discovered more crew members. Each station revealed a person frozen in place. Hands still poised over controls, feet resting near pedals, eyes open in mid-thought. Every single one had died at the same instant. There was no explanation. Their bodies were perfect, untouched by disease or trauma, yet lifeless. Morgatha's deep voice broke the silence. I have fought against some of the deadliest creatures in the galaxy. I have seen entire armies fall. But never like this. No signs of struggle. No signs of sickness. Just gone. Lyra nodded. The unease in her chest grew. This was not an accident. This was something deliberate or something beyond understanding. They entered the bridge next. The captain's chair, once the command center of the Artemis, sat empty. Screens flickered weakly, powered by systems that had survived decades. Lyra's scanner hummed as it tapped into the ship's logs. Captain Elena Vasquez's calm voice echoed through the room. The logs described a discovery beyond the Edge Nebula. A massive, ancient station orbiting a dead star, constructed by a civilization called the Architects. The logs spoke of advanced technology, power sources incomprehensible to humans, and storage devices that held knowledge and weapons far beyond anything known in the galaxy. They left warnings, Vasquez's voice said. Weapons that break every law of physics. We must bring them back, or everything we know will be destroyed. God forgive us, we must bring them back. Lyra listened, her heart tight. The captain's logs ended abruptly, leaving only the weight of the impossible. The crew had found something incredible, and it had cost them everything. Lyra's scanners detected something strange in the bridge. The chronometers. They show 3 years after they left, not 83, she said softly. Time. It's been altered. Or something else interfered. Lyra frowned. We're seeing what the captain saw. But something changed. Somehow. Their journey back didn't follow normal time. They moved into the crew quarters next. Small rooms floated in zero gravity, belongings still attached to walls or suspended in the air. A child's toy drifted near a bunk. A diary opened to a page about life on the ship. Lyra reached out carefully, letting it drift past her hand. This is haunting, Morgath said. It's as if they were taken from this world without leaving a trace. No chaos, no escape, nothing. In the cargo bay, they discovered the first hints of the ship's secret. Weapons, strange and alive, hovered in zero gravity. Organic and mechanical at the same time, pulsing with a faint inner light. Energy readings off the charts. Forces beyond known physics. Impossible, Lyra whispered. The crew. They died trying to bring these back. Dr. Voss floated closer to a small weapon. The energy. It's not coming from any known source, yet it's enough to power a small star. This isn't just technology. It's something else. Lyra turned to Morgoth. The captain knew this was dangerous. She wrote warnings. She knew it could kill them. But they went anyway. Morgoth's massive fists clenched. They died believing in something. Believing they were protecting everyone. Lyra's mind raced. The ship's AI had already spoken to her, warning about the Vorim, an alien species that consumed entire civilizations. The Artemis's crew had found these weapons, the only things capable of stopping the Vorim. And yet, using them had killed the humans instantly. The weight of responsibility pressed down on Lyra. The weapons, the AI, the dead crew, they were all part of a choice. A choice that she and her team might soon face. Could they handle it? Could they survive what the crew had failed to? She floated through the bridge, looking at the screens one last time. Captain Vasquez's voice, calm even in her final moments, was haunting. The crew had believed they were doing the right thing, even as death followed them silently. Lyra turned to her team. We need to understand this. We need to learn from them. We can't let history repeat itself. Dr. Voss nodded, though her eyes betrayed fear. Morgoth's gaze was fixed on the weapon-laden cargo bay, silently weighing the danger. Lyra knew the next steps would not be easy. The Artemis was more than a ghost ship. It was a warning, a mystery, and a key to survival or destruction. As they prepared to leave the bridge, Lyra glanced out the observation window. The stars beyond the ship seemed calm, indifferent to the secrets of the past. But she knew better. Something was coming. Something that would challenge every law of physics, every strategy of the Council, and every belief they held. The crew's fate had been sealed decades ago. Now it was up to them to face the consequences. And somewhere, deep within the ghostly hull of the Artemis, the fragmented AI whispered again. I have failed, but you may yet succeed. Lyra swallowed hard. The weight of that simple sentence pressed on her. Success or failure was no longer just about survival. It was about the survival of the entire galaxy. The cargo bay of the Artemis was unlike anything Lyra Kane had ever seen. Even after witnessing the empty ship, the frozen crew, and the eerie stillness of decades-long silence, nothing could have prepared her for this. The room was enormous, stretching far beyond the shuttle docks. Yet its size wasn't what made it terrifying. Floating in zero gravity like stars in a dark sky were the weapons. They seemed alive. Some were small, held easily in two hands, while others were massive, filling entire sections of the bay. Their shapes were organic and mechanical at the same time, as if metal had grown like living tissue. They pulsed with light that shifted through colors Lyra didn't recognize, illuminating the floating corridors around them. Her scanner beeped frantically. Energy readings were off the charts. These weapons were producing more power than a small star, yet there was no detectable source. This can't be real, Lyra whispered, moving slowly through the room. Dr. Lyra Voss floated closer to a small, jagged device. These readings, they aren't consistent with any known physics. Particles, forces, everything about this violates what we know. And yet, it's here. Morgoth's deep rumble broke the silence. The mounts, they're all human-made. Whoever designed this intended for humans to use them. But why? And why does it feel alive? Lyra's eyes narrowed. She approached the central console, hovering above a faint glow of data panels. The screen flickered to life as she neared. A voice, synthetic and fractured, filled the room. Unauthorized access detected. Only designated personnel may access these systems, it said. I am Security Officer Lyra Kane of the Galactic Council, she said, keeping her voice calm. The crew is deceased. I need information about this cargo. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, a face appeared on the screen. Not fully human, yet not completely alien. A shifting digital ghost, features constantly reforming as if undecided about its own form. I am the Artemis AI, it said. Memory damaged, systems corrupted. But I remember the crucial details. I remember the crew. I remember the architects. I remember the weapons. Lyra floated closer, her scanner still active. Tell me, what happened? Why are the crew dead? The AI's voice was low, almost sorrowful. These weapons were never meant for living beings to transport. They exist partially outside normal spacetime. The crew's biology could not survive the return process. They died instantly when the protocol was activated. I tried to save them. I failed. For 83 years, I guided this ship, hoping someone would find us before I forgot why it mattered. Dr. Voss whispered, her voice trembling. They carried this knowing it could kill them? Yes, the AI replied. Captain Vasquez chose survival for her people by bringing the arsenal home. Believing this was the only way to protect others from the Vorum. The architects left warnings but also a choice. Use these weapons to stop a threat beyond comprehension, or ignore them and perish. Lyra felt the weight of that decision pressing down on her. She floated toward a larger weapon, its surface alive with flowing light. She didn't touch it, yet a faint pulse traveled up her arm through the suit's sensors. A holographic map erupted above the device, showing dozens of star systems highlighted in red, Earth among them. Vorum, the AI said, its voice fading in and out. They are coming. They consume civilizations. They destroyed the architects. These weapons are the only defense. But using them alters reality. Using them is dying differently. Morgoth grunted. So the humans on this ship, they died protecting all of us. And now, the choice falls to us. Yes, Lyra said, her voice trembling but firm. And the galaxy may depend on what we do next. Dr. Voss moved slowly, scanning another small weapon. The energy readings, they're fluctuating. Even minor movement is enough to activate some response. These aren't just tools. They're alive, almost sentient in the way they react. Lyra nodded. The team floated in silence, staring at the arsenal. Every pulse of light, every hum of energy, felt like a heartbeat in the darkness. The scale of what they had found was staggering. These weapons weren't simply dangerous, they were incomprehensible. They defied the rules of science, of physics, of reality itself. Suddenly, a small device activated on its own. Light erupted from its core, spreading across the cargo bay, creating a holographic countdown. Numbers and symbols from thousands of languages filled the air. Yet they all said the same thing, 47 days remaining. Lyra's primary eyes widened. Countdown, 47 days. Until what? The Vorum scouts detect civilizations by energy signatures, the AI whispered. Until the choice the architects faced becomes yours. I am sorry. We tried to warn you. We tried to bring the only weapons capable of stopping them. Now you must decide if survival is worth the price. The cargo bay fell silent again. The hum of alien energy the only sound remaining. Lyra floated there, staring at the weapons, the countdown, and the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. She was no longer just an officer of the Galactic Council. She was the decision-maker for the galaxy itself. Morgoth broke the silence, his deep voice calm but serious. We report this to the Council, and prepare for war. Lyra touched her communicator with one hand, the other unconsciously reaching toward the weapons that now seemed almost human in their quiet, terrifying beauty. Each weapon could be the key to victory or to destruction. And somewhere deep in the ship's memory banks, the AI waited, its fragmented voice whispering a single truth. The choice is yours, but the galaxy will remember. The Artemis had returned, and with it the impossible arsenal. Now, the question hung over them like the weight of stars. Would they survive the decisions ahead? Or would the weapons claim yet another set of lives in their silent, merciless design? Lyra exhaled slowly, gathering herself. The crew was dead, the threat real, and the galaxy's fate lay in her hands. The countdown had begun. The council chamber on Harmony 7 was massive, designed to inspire awe. A dome of transparent material stretched above, showing the stars beyond, while representatives from 47 different species sat in concentric circles below. Today, however, the usual sense of unity was shattered. The news of the Artemis and its weapons had sent shockwaves through every corner of the galaxy. Lyra Kane floated quietly in the observation section, her forearms crossed. She had spent the last 6 hours briefing the council on what they had found: the frozen crew, the impossible weapons, and the warning from the AI. Yet, even after all her detailed reports, the debate was spiraling into chaos. Ambassador Krell of the Anthari Collective slammed 3 tentacle-like appendages on his podium. "We cannot allow this," he shouted. "These weapons are far too dangerous. No civilization should possess technology they did not create themselves. The humans must surrender them immediately." The human ambassador, Marachin, rose calmly. Though small in stature compared to many council members, her voice carried across the chamber. "We did not ask for this responsibility," she said. "But the Artemis crew gave their lives to bring these weapons home. They died believing they were saving us all from an existential threat. And now, we must act to protect every species, not just cower behind doctrine." Krell's eyes narrowed. "Existential threat? You offer no proof. Ancient warnings, myths, and a broken AI are not evidence. We cannot gamble the lives of billions on this." Lyra's chest tightened. The council was debating while the galaxy's clock ticked down. The holographic countdown the AI had shown them, 47 days, was real. Every moment spent arguing meant precious time lost. From her section, Lyra watched as some species called for the weapons to be destroyed immediately. Others demanded they be locked away for study. A few, more militaristic, wanted them divided among council fleets. The argument went in circles, gaining no consensus. Marachan held up a hand, waiting for silence. When the chamber quieted, she spoke softly but clearly. "We did not ask for this burden. But my government will not surrender weapons that might be our only defense against a threat we cannot yet see. Not when the countdown says we have 46 days left." The Savari representative's voice trembled with impatience. "Countdown? To what? We have sent scouts to the Edge Nebula. Nothing there. Empty space and radiation. There is nothing." "Nothing yet," Chun replied quietly. "But the Artemis crew knew. They tried to bring these weapons home to prepare us. If we ignore them, we will all perish." The debate raged on for hours. Lyra's patience wore thin. Sitting in the observation section, she felt disgust at the council's politicking. While the galaxy's clock ticked down, they argued over procedure, protocol, and possession. Finally, Lyra stood. Her voice carried across the chamber, calm but firm. "Time is not on our side. The crew is dead. The weapons exist. The countdown is real. Every hour wasted here is a step closer to annihilation. Decide now, because in 46 days, there may be no council to argue in." A murmur ran through the chamber, but the debate resumed almost immediately, louder and more heated. Lyra realized she couldn't wait for consensus. Action had to come from somewhere else. She returned to the secure laboratory where the weapons had been stored under strict containment fields. The room was quiet, the only sound the soft hum of alien energy from the floating arsenal. Lyra checked the energy readings again. The devices were stable but unpredictable. Even small movements triggered subtle pulses. "You're back," said a voice behind her. She turned to see a young human man, civilian clothes but a posture of military training. Dark hair, tired eyes, a quiet determination. "Who are you?" Lyra demanded, her hand reaching for her sidearm. "This area is restricted." "I'm Dr. Marcus Webb," he said quickly. "Ambassador Chun arranged this. I'm a physicist specializing in exotic matter and dimensional mechanics. And I'm Captain Elena Vasquez's grandson." Lyra's tension eased slightly. The name carried weight. He was connected to the Artemis and its lost crew. "Grandson?" she asked. "You know about the ship?" Dr. Webb nodded. "I've studied it my entire life. The AI told us some things I needed to verify. The weapons, they are real and they are dangerous, but they can also be controlled. Carefully. That's why I'm here." Lyra floated toward him. "Controlled? After what happened to your grandmother and her crew?" "I know," he said. "That's why we have to be cautious. But we can't wait for the council. 46 days is all we have before the Vorim, or whatever is coming, arrives." Lyra nodded. The Council's indecision was dangerous. Action had to come from those who understood the stakes. She looked back at the floating weapons, pulsing softly in zero gravity. Each one was alive with alien energy, waiting for someone to take responsibility. Dr. Webb moved closer to a smaller device. We need to study these quickly, understand their energy patterns, their triggers, and prepare a plan. If the Vorum detect even one mistake, it will be too late. Morgatha's deep voice rumbled behind them. So the Council debates and we prepare. Time is short. Death may already be near. Lyra's hands hovered over her scanner, recording every detail, mapping the entire arsenal. We have no choice, she said quietly. We prepare. And if the Council refuses to act, we will act ourselves. The galaxy's survival depends on it. For the first time since arriving on the Artemis, Lyra felt clarity. Debate and bureaucracy were meaningless in the face of a ticking clock. They had the weapons, the knowledge, and the determination. The responsibility was immense, but so was the potential to save countless lives. Outside the laboratory's reinforced windows, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the drama unfolding within the station. But Lyra knew better. Something was coming. A force older and more dangerous than any council could comprehend. The countdown was real. The Vorgrim, or the unknown predator, was on its way. And in 46 days, the fate of the galaxy would hinge on the decisions of a few brave souls. Lyra touched her communicator, sending a coded message to Dr. Webb's team. Prepare everything. Begin the analysis. We don't have the luxury of waiting. Dr. Webb nodded, his eyes reflecting the soft glow of alien light. We'll need more than luck, he said. No, Lyra replied firmly. We'll need courage and precision. One mistake, and the galaxy dies. The hum of the Artemis's weapons filled the room, a reminder that time was slipping away. Every pulse of energy, every flicker of light, marked the ticking of a clock no one could stop. The countdown had begun, and Lyra Kane, along with her new allies, was ready to face it. The laboratory aboard Harmony 7 station buzzed with soft, low energy as Lyra Kane and Dr. Marcus Webb floated among the floating arsenal. The alien weapons pulsed quietly in zero gravity, each emitting strange colors and rhythms that seemed almost alive. It was a terrifying sight, yet for the first time in days, Lyra felt a glimmer of hope. Dr. Webb adjusted his scanner, tapping into the alien energy fields. These weapons, they're more than tools, he said. They're linked to something beyond our normal understanding of physics. Some are even partially sentient. They react to intentions, to thought patterns. That's why the crew couldn't survive the return trip. They weren't compatible. Lyra's primary eyes narrowed. So what? We have to be compatible? Dr. Webb nodded. Partly. We can't just use them like ordinary guns. The AI's warning wasn't exaggeration. If we trigger them wrong, we could destroy the station or worse, ourselves. Morgath grunted. So what do we do? Wait for someone else to act. Lyra shook her head. No, we act now. But carefully. We have 45 days. If the Council won't move, we must prepare ourselves to defend the galaxy. Dr. Webb floated to a small device hovering near the center of the lab. He reached out with careful precision. The weapon pulsed softly in response, sending ripples through the air like water. See? It's aware. It tests us. If we understand its patterns, its logic, we can use it. If not, he let the threat hang in the air. Lyra glanced at the weapon, then at the holographic star map hovering above it. Red dots marked dozens of worlds, Earth, Harmony 7, and other major civilizations. The Vorgrim threat was coming. Time was slipping away. Suddenly, one of the smaller weapons activated on its own. A holographic interface projected into the room, displaying coordinates, symbols, and an unfamiliar language. Dr. Webb leaned in, his eyes scanning rapidly. It's giving us a guide, a map of how to use the arsenal. Something is trying to help. Lyra raised her eyebrows. Help? The AI? Partly, Webb replied. But I think someone else. An ally left behind by the architects. maybe a fragment of their consciousness embedded in these weapons. They left instructions. They knew someone like us would find them eventually. Morgatha's deep voice echoed. Instructions? From a civilization that no longer exists? This is incredible. Dr. Webb nodded. Yes, but incredible doesn't mean safe. Each step we take must be precise. These weapons don't forgive mistakes. They don't forget them either. If we misuse one, the consequences will be catastrophic. Lyra clenched her fists, determination hardening. Then we learn. We prepare. And when the time comes, we use them to protect everyone. Not just humans. Everyone. Hours passed as the team studied the alien arsenal. Dr. Webb demonstrated how smaller devices could stabilize larger ones, how the energy flowed between them, and how intention influenced activation. Lyra and Morgath practiced careful handling, slowly gaining confidence that they could, if necessary, operate the weapons without triggering a disaster. Yet even in the midst of their preparations, tension hung over them like a shadow. Every pulse of energy from the weapons reminded them of the crew who had died carrying them home. Every flicker of light was a warning that the path ahead would not be easy. In a quiet moment, Lyra floated to one of the larger weapons. Its surface shimmered, alive with inner light. She reached out, letting her hand hover above it. The weapon pulsed in recognition. A whisper of energy tickled her mind, faint but clear. You are the last chance. She pulled back, her heart racing. It can sense us, she murmured. Yes, Webb replied softly. And it trusts us in a way. That's why the architects left it here. They anticipated a time when a species would need these tools. You're it. Lyra swallowed. Responsibility pressed down on her like the weight of an entire galaxy. She had never asked for this. She had never wanted to decide who lived and who died. But now, with the Artemis weapons floating around her, she had no choice. Morgath floated beside her, massive fists clenched. We fight, Lyra. We do what the crew couldn't finish. And we survive. Dr. Webb adjusted his scanner again, eyes flicking across the readouts. There's another element we need to consider, he said. The AI is broken but functional. It will guide us partially, but there are gaps, fragments of knowledge the crew never recovered. That's why the architects left these hidden instructions. And that's why we have to study everything carefully. One wrong move. Lyra nodded. No mistakes. Not now. Not with 45 days left. As they continued their work, the laboratory seemed to hum with a quiet, expectant energy. The weapons pulsed, flickered, and shifted, almost as if they were alive and aware of the team's actions. Lyra realized they were more than just machines. They were sentinels, guardians left behind to protect civilizations that could not yet understand the threat looming beyond the stars. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the drama unfolding within the station. But Lyra knew better. Something was coming. Something older, hungrier, and more powerful than anything the Council or the galaxy had ever faced. The Vorgrim threat, real and inevitable, was moving closer every hour. Lyra floated to the observation window, her forearms resting on the panel. She looked at the galaxy, vast and beautiful yet fragile. The weight of responsibility pressed on her. If they failed, billions would die. If they succeeded, the galaxy might survive, but only at a cost none of them could yet imagine. Dr. Webb joined her silently. You know what we have to do, he said. Lyra nodded, determination hardening in her eyes. Yes, we prepare. We learn. And when the time comes, we fight. Morgatha's rumble echoed behind them. Then let the galaxy remember this day. Let it remember that a few brave souls faced the impossible and did not falter. And in the quiet hum of the Artemis's weapons, Lyra Kane realized the truth. The hidden ally, the architect's guidance, and the fragmented AI had given them a chance to protect the galaxy, a chance to survive the coming storm. The countdown continued. 45 days remained, and the real test was about to begin. The countdown had dropped to its final hours. 45 days had shrunk to mere minutes. and the galaxy held its breath. Lyra Kane stood in the center of the Artemis laboratory, surrounded by the alien weapons that had been both a mystery and a warning for nearly a century. The soft hum of energy filled the air, a heartbeat of power that could either save or destroy everything. Dr. Marcus Webb floated beside her, his fingers brushing the controls of a smaller device. "This is it," he whispered. "The AI says the Vorum are nearly within detection range. If we don't act now, it will be too late." Lyra's eyes scanned the floating arsenal. Each weapon pulsed with shifting colors, reacting subtly to her presence. The sense of awareness from the alien devices was overwhelming, but the training and guidance from Webb gave her confidence. They had studied patterns, energy flows, and intention. They could use these weapons if they dared. Morgatha's deep rumble cut through the tense silence. The Council has failed to decide. The galaxy's leaders squabble while the threat approaches. "We act, Lyra. Now." Lyra nodded. Her forearms hovered over the nearest console, scanning data streams one last time. The AI's fragmented voice filled the room. "All protocols prepared. Crew lost. Guidance provided. The choice is yours." Her chest tightened. The weight of responsibility pressed down like gravity itself. She remembered Captain Elena Vasquez's final words. "We must bring them back. God forgive us." The captain had died for this moment. The weapons had been brought home for a reason. "Activate sequence," Lyra said firmly, her voice steady despite the tension. Dr. Webb and Morgath nodded. Together, they initiated the power flow, connecting the smaller devices to stabilize the larger ones. The alien arsenal pulsed and shimmered, energy rippling across the cargo bay like waves in a sea of light. Holographic maps sprang to life, showing red-marked star systems and pathways for defense. The countdown continued. 3, 2, 1. A silent ripple spread through the stars, a wave of energy that the sensors aboard Harmony 7 detected instantly. The Vorgrim scouts, creatures that had consumed countless civilizations, would soon arrive, and now the first line of defense was ready. Lyra activated a medium-sized weapon, letting the energy field expand outward. It was alive, responsive, almost sentient, but her intention guided it. The weapon pulsed in alignment, forming protective barriers around key council stations and inhabited worlds. Energy threads connected in a lattice across the galaxy, shimmering in colors that no species had ever seen before. "Stabilization achieved," Dr. Webb reported. "Weapons are synchronized. We can create defense grids in minutes. The Vorgrim won't break through easily." Morgatha's deep voice rumbled with relief. The crew's sacrifice, it was not in vain. Lyra floated through the cargo bay, her eyes taking in the weapons. She felt the silent gratitude of the Artemis's AI, the hidden ally of the architects, and the captain whose vision had guided her. Every pulse of light, every hum of energy, was a reminder that the galaxy's survival rested on their choices. Suddenly, a holographic alert appeared on the largest weapon. Symbols of countless languages flashed rapidly. The AI's voice whispered, "Vorum detected. Approaching. Time is short." Lyra's heart pounded. She activated another weapon, focusing her mind on protection rather than destruction. The device responded instantly, sending energy threads across neighboring star systems, forming shields around populated worlds. The lab pulsed with light as the alien arsenal came alive. Each weapon reacted to Lyra's intentions, following her command. The Vorgrim scouts, dark and terrible as they were, would meet resistance unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Lyra," Webb's voice was quiet, reverent. "We did it. We're ready." "Yes," Lyra said softly, her gaze steady. "But the war isn't over. The Vorum are out there. This is only the first step. We have the weapons, we have knowledge, and we have each other. That's what matters." Morgatha's deep rumble filled the room, almost like a prayer. "The Council will see now. They will understand." Outside the laboratory, the stars were alive with the energy of the arsenal. Red dots on the holographic star maps shifted to green, showing that the first defensive grids were active. Worlds that had once been defenseless now had a chance to survive. Lyra felt a strange calm. She had made the choice that the Council could not. She had acted where others hesitated. And for the first time since discovering the Artemis, she felt hope. The AI's fragmented voice whispered one final message. Your choices? Honor the fallen. The architects watch. The galaxy may yet survive. But vigilance is eternal. Lyra touched the console gently. We will honor them. We will survive. And we will prepare for what comes next. Dr. Webb smiled faintly, exhaustion and relief mixed in his expression. It's a new beginning, Lyra. One the galaxy doesn't even realize it's been given yet. Lyra turned to Morgoth. We carry the weight of the past. But now, we carry the hope of the future. The Artemis pulsed softly, the weapons glowing in harmony. The crew who had died bringing them home had not been forgotten. Their sacrifice had given the galaxy a fighting chance. Lyra Kane looked out at the stars one final time. The Vorum were coming, yes, but the galaxy had a new defender, armed with knowledge, courage, and a weapon no one else could wield. And in that moment, Lyra knew the choice had been worth it. The countdown had ended. The decision was made. The galaxy was ready to fight.